Lay your head upon my pillow. Hold your warm and tender body close to mine. Hear the whisper of the raindrops blowing soft against the window, and make believe you love me one more time for the good time. I'll get along. You'll find another, and I'll be here if you should find you ever need me. Don't say a word about tomorrow or forever. There'll be time enough for sadness when you leave me. Lay your head upon my pillow. Hold your warm and tender body close to mine. Hear the whisper of the raindrops blowing soft against the window, and make believe you love me one more time for the good time.
I don't know what I'm going to talk about. I haven't done a radio show for 40 years, Louis.
Don't worry about it, but it'll be just like it was when you and me was at WHN back in the 30s, or whatever it was.
Well, it was the 70s. It was...
Yeah, the 70s. Oh, we're on the air. Hi, folks. This is Big Louis Two Fingers Gavone. In case you don't remember me, I'm the personal valet, bodyguard, and all-around manservant to Larry Kennedy.
That's Kenny.
Whatever.
Okay, thanks. Hi, folks. It's good to be with you, I think. I'm scared to death. I haven't done this for so long. But thank you all for tuning in to WFDU and what we're calling for the day, 1050 WHN, which was a little radio station we had in little old New York back in the mid-70s. I was there from 74 to 79. 15 of the best years of my life, and we'll be talking about that as we go on and playing some fantastic music for you. From old friends like George Jones and Tammy Wynette, one of their big duets called Golden Ring. 1050 WHN.
In a pawn shop in Chicago on a sunny summer day, a couple gazes at the wedding rings there on display.
She smiles and nods her head as he says, honey, that's for you. It's not much, but it's the best that I can do.
Golden ring, with one tiny little stone waiting there for someone to take it home by itself. It's just a cold metallic thing. Only love can make a golden wedding ring. In a little wedding chapel later on that afternoon, an old upright piano plays that old familiar tune.
Tears roll down her cheeks and happy thoughts run through her head as he whispers low, with this ring I thee wed. Golden ring, with one tiny little stone, shining ring. Now at last it's found a home by itself. It's just a cold metallic thing. Only love can make a golden wedding ring.
In a small two-room apartment, as they fight their final round, he says, you won't admit it, but I know you're leaving town.
She says, one thing's for certain, I don't love you anymore, and throws down the ring as she walks out the door. Golden ring, with one tiny little stone, cast aside, like the love that's dead and gone by itself. It's just a cold metallic thing. Only love can make a golden wedding ring. In a pawn shop in Chicago, on a sunny summer day, a couple gazes at the wedding rings there on display. Golden ring. 1050 WHN.
Oh, I could hide neath the wings of the bluebird as she sings. The 6 o'clock alarm would never ring, but it rings and we rise, wipe the sleep out of our eyes. Your shaven razor's cold and it stings. Cheer up, sleepy Jean. Oh, what can it mean to a daydream believer and a homecoming queen? I once thought of you as a white knight on a steed. Now you know how happy we can be. Oh, and our good times started then, with $1 to spend. But how much, baby, do we really need? Cheer up, sleepy Jean. Oh, what can it mean to a daydream believer and a homecoming queen? Cheer up, sleepy Jean. Oh, what can it mean to a daydream believer and a homecoming queen? Cheer up, sleepy Jean. Oh, what can it mean to a
Daydream Believer. That's, I think, a Neil Diamond song. The Monkees, of course, recorded it, but Pretty Anne Murray had the big hit in the country charts with that one. Good morning, good afternoon, whatever it is. I'm used to saying good morning, but that was 40 years ago. My name is Larry Kenny, and you're listening to WFDU 89.1 FM, the voice of Fairleigh Dickinson University. It's not a totally Dickinson university. It's fairly Dickinson, but it's not completely. And, okay, I told him that joke wouldn't work. I was at WHN from 1974 to 1979. So it seems like a long time ago, and I guess it was, but I'll tell you what, the last couple of days have made it seem like just yesterday. We're here, when I say we, I mean those of us who worked at WHN back in the 70s and 80s. Right now, Pam Green, who was our music director, is in the studio with me, and you've heard Lee Arnold already, and Dan Taylor's coming up right after me. And Gene Ladd, of course, is doing the news, and I think you're going to enjoy it. I think you're already enjoying it from the massive response we've received so far. Have we received any? Nothing yet. Okay. But we're having a good time. That's all that counts. And I have to apologize for you. I haven't done a radio show since probably 1982 or something like that. But I'm having a great time, and I hope you are, and that's all that counts. Music. That's what we're here for, right? Can you give me a little bit of Johnny Cash? I'd like to hear some Johnny Cash. Tennessee 3. There they are. Boy Named Sue. WHN.
Well, my daddy left home when I was 3, and he didn't leave much to Ma and me, just this old guitar and an empty bottle of booze. Now, I don't blame him 'cause he run and hid, but the meanest thing that he ever did was before he left, he went and named me Sue. Well, he must have thought that it was quite a joke, and it got a lot of laughs from lots of folks. It seems I had to fight my whole life through. Some gal would giggle and I'd get red, and some guy'd laugh and I'd bust his head. I'll tell you, life ain't easy for a boy named Sue. Well, I grew up quick and I grew up mean. My fists got hard, my wits got keen. Roamed from town to hide my shame. But I made me a vow to the moon and stars, I'd search the honky-tonks and bars and kill that man that gave me that awful name. Well, it was Gatlinburg in mid-July, and I'd just hit town and my throat was dry. I thought I'd stop and have myself a brew. At an old saloon on a street of mud, there at a table, dealing stud, sat the dirty mangy dog that named me Sue. Well, I knew that snake was my own sweet dad from a worn-out picture that my mother'd had, and I knew that scar on his cheek and his evil eye. He was big and bent and gray and old, and I looked at him and my blood ran cold, and I said, "My name is Sue. How do you do? Now you gonna die." Yeah, that's what I told him. Well, I hit him hard right between the eyes, and he went down, but to my surprise, come up with a knife and cut off a piece of my ear. But I busted a chair right across his teeth, and we crashed through the wall and into the street, kicking and gouging in the mud and the blood and the beard. I tell you, I fought tougher men, but I really can't remember when. He kicked like a mule and he bit like a crocodile. I heard him laugh and then I heard him cuss, and he went for his gun. I pulled mine first. He stood there looking at me, and I saw him smile. And he said, "Son, this world is rough, and if a man's gonna make it, he's gotta be tough. And I know I wouldn't be there to help you along. So I give you that name, and I said goodbye. I knew you'd have to get tough or die, and it's that name that helped to make you strong." Yeah. He said, "Now you just fought one hell of a fight, and I know you hate me and you got the right to kill me now, and I wouldn't blame you if you do. But you ought to thank me before I die for the gravel in your guts and the spit in your eye, 'cause I'm the son of a bitch that named you Sue." Yeah, well, what could I do? What could I do? I got all choked up and I threw down my gun, called him a paw and he called me a son, and I come away with a different point of view. And I think about him now and then, every time I try and every time I win. And if I ever have a son, I think I'm gonna name him Bill or George, any damn thing but Sue. I still ain't that man.
Yeah. 1050 WHN, at least for today. It's always 89.1 WFDU, Fairleigh Dickinson University.
In a bar in Toledo, across from the depot, on a bar stool she took off her ring. I thought I'd get closer, So I walked on over, I sat down and asked her her name. When the drinks finally hit her, she said, I'm no quitter, but I finally quit living on dreams. I'm hungry for laughter, and here ever after, I'm after whatever the other life brings. In the mirror I saw him, and I closely watched him. I thought how he looked out of place. He came to the woman who sat there beside me. He had a strange look on his face. The big hands were calloused. He looked like a mountain. For a minute I thought I was dead. But he started shaking, his big heart was breaking. He turned to the woman and said, You picked a fine time to leave me, Lucille, with 4 hungry children and a crop in the field. I've had some bad times, lived through some sad times, but this time you're hurting won't heal. You picked a fine time to leave me, Lucille. After he left us, I ordered more whiskey. I thought how she'd made him look small. From the lights of the bar room to a rented hotel room, we walked without talking at all. She was a beauty, but when she came to me, she must have thought I'd lost my mind. I couldn't hold her, 'cause the words that he told her kept coming back time after time. You picked a fine time to leave me, Lucille, with 4 hungry children and a crop in the field. I've had some bad times, lived through some sad times, but this time you're hurting won't heal. You picked a fine time to leave me, Lucille. You picked a fine time to leave me, Lucille, with 4 hungry children and a crop in the field. I've had some bad times, lived through some sad times, but this time you're hurting won't heal. You picked a fine time to leave me, Lucille. You picked a fine time.
Kenny Rogers and Lucille on 1050 WHN, which is, for today, what we're calling WFDU, the voice of Fairleigh Dickinson University. It's 12:18 a.m., p.m., sorry. Those of you listening 20 years ago to WHN at this exact moment, 12:18 p.m., heard that sound. It's called the News Bulletin Alert. And it signified that something big had happened. And indeed, it was the first bombing at the World Trade Center. If you recall, in February, on this particular date, in 1993, a van full of explosives exploded under the Vista Hotel at the World Trade Center complex. I happened to have been staying overnight in the hotel the night before. I was working with Imus in the morning, whom I worked with for 35 years. We were doing our show live from the World Trade Centers. We did that particular time every year, and I recall vividly getting up leaving the show at 10 a.m. and then going back to my hotel room at the Vista. I noticed that checkout time was 11. I wanted to take a nap. I called the front desk. Can I please stay till 12? They said, Mr. Kenny, you can stay till 1 o'clock if you want. And I said, that won't be necessary. Please call me at 12. And they called me, and I had already packed everything, so I just grabbed my suitcases and went downstairs. My first inclination was to walk through the complex and take a subway uptown. But then I realized it was going to be tough with all those bags. So I turned around and walked out the front door of the Vista Hotel and grabbed a cab. As I was coming up West Side Highway in the cab, the driver and I both noticed quite a number of emergency vehicles coming the other way, sirens and lights on. fire trucks, ambulances, police cars. But it was New York, so we didn't think too much about it until I got out of the cab at Grand Central and saw the headlines. And the monitors were showing the carnage at the World Trade Center that I inexplicably escaped by about 10 minutes. So, of course, I'll never forget that day, and none of us will ever forget the people who lost their lives on that particular day, and our thoughts are with them again today.
If tomorrow all the things were gone, I'd work for all my life, and I had to start again with just my children and my wife. I thank my lucky stars to be living here today, 'cause the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston and New York to LA, well, there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say that I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
Quite appropriate for today and the day 20 years ago today, the first bombing at the World Trade Center. It's Lee Greenwood, and God bless the USA. Well, we're on WFDU FM 89.1 right now. We're calling it 1050 WHN as a kind of a tribute to and a look back to our years. I say our because a lot of us who worked at the station, WHN back then, are here, recreating it just a bit. And by the way, you can listen to us if, well, I guess most of you people are, but call someone and tell them we're being streamed live. Just go to www.wfdu.fm. And you can hear such great things as Bobby Bear, one of his first big hit songs. Detroit City, 1050 WHN. I'm Larry Kenny.
I wanna go home. I wanna go home. Oh, how I wanna go home. Last night I went to sleep in Detroit City, and I dreamed about
those cotton fields and home. I dreamed about my mother, dear old papa, sister, and brother. I dreamed about that girl who's been waiting for so long. I wanna go home. I wanna go home. Oh, how I wanna go home. Home folks think I'm big in Detroit City. From the letters that I write, they think I'm fine. But by day I make the cards, by night I make the bars. If only they could read between the lines. 'Cause you know, I rode a freight train north to Detroit City. And after all these years I find that I've just been wasting my time. So I just think I'll take my foolish pride and put it on a southbound freight and ride. Go on back to the loved ones, the ones that I left waiting so far behind. I wanna go home. I wanna go home. Oh, how I wanna go home.
WHN. WHN.
I've been looking at people and how they change with the times. And lately all I've been seeing are people throwing love away and losing their minds. Maybe it's me who's gone crazy, but I can't understand why. All these lovers keep hurting each other when good love is so hard to come by. So what's the glory in living? Doesn't anybody ever stay together anymore? And if love never lasts forever, tell me, what's forever for? And I see love-hungry people trying their best to survive, when right there in their hands is a dying romance, and they're not even trying to keep it alive. So what's the glory in living? Doesn't anybody ever stay together anymore? And if love never lasts forever, tell me, what's forever for? So what's the glory in living? Doesn't anybody ever stay together anymore? And if love never lasts forever, tell me, what's forever for?
Michael Martin Murphy, What's Forever For? On 1050 WHN, at least our tribute to the golden era of the world's most listened to country music station, WHN. If you were a part of it back in the 70s and 80s, thank you for being with us today here at WFDU on the campus of Fairleigh Dickinson University. It's 12:30, and I think we have a phone call from an old friend of mine that I haven't talked to since I drove him from New York City to was it New Haven, Larry, or Hartford? I don't know. It was
Hartford, Connecticut. How you doing, you scoundrel?
You scoundrel. I'm good. How are Rudy and Steve?
I don't know. It ain't my day to watch them.
I hadn't even mentioned who this is, but folks probably know already. It's Larry Gatlin, ladies and gentlemen, one of the greatest singers that ever walked the face of the earth. I tell you, that's the truth. That's the truth.
I haven't seen you in so long.
I know.
Well,
I have seen you since then, but that day we were talking about is I was at WHN and I had a. Do you remember the car, Larry, that I drove you all the way from New York City to New Haven? You and your guitar. You had your guitar in the front seat playing me your newest song, Penny Annie. Do you remember the car?
My Lord.
It was a Volkswagen Beetle.
Oh, my Lord. We went all the way to Hartford. I wouldn't want to go from WHN to the Empire State Building.
Well, I enjoyed every second.
Especially with a guitar in the front seat.
Well, you were picking, and it was the best trip I ever had, I'll tell you that.
Well, do you remember what we did that night?
Well, I didn't think we were going to talk about that.
Well, okay, let me tell you what happened.
All right.
We went, you were emceeing a Tammy and George concert.
Oh, yes.
In New Haven or Hartford or somewhere over there.
Yeah.
They had two shows. We went over there.
Yeah.
And George and Tammy asked me to come sing a song, and in their show, which I did.
Yeah.
And it was very well received. And they asked me if I would. This was like a matinee, and we've got the never lost lady telling us how to get to our granddaughter's house in San Antonio. Anyway, so you had to go back and do the morning drive.
Yeah.
At WHN, and you left me there because Tammy and George wanted me to do the second show.
Right.
And they were going to drop me off in New York on their way back to Nashville. Well, they did. They dropped me off at the corner of 103rd and Harlem at 2:00 in the morning. In a place where at that particular time, till our friend Rudy Giuliani helped clean up some of the crime, I wasn't supposed to be in that particular part of town.
not a boy from Odessa, Texas with his guitar. No.
So I never have forgiven you for not telling me. You need to go home with me. Oh, man, Larry, that's 35 years ago.
That's 35 years ago, Hoss, at least. Yeah, every damn bit of it. Well, it's so great of you to call in, and I'm glad you and Steve and Rudy are doing good. I'm following you on the Facebook.
Good.
And
we're doing well. We're very blessed, Larry. We really are.
Yes.
We hadn't had a hit record in 25 years. It's Lady Antebellum and Rascal Flatts' turn, and I'm rooting for them. We had our turn.
Sure.
But we're grateful that people, about 90% of the time we draw our money and everything's okay. So if the folks are happy and the promoter's happy, I'm happy too.
You betcha. I still want to hear you on the Broadway stage again. Okay.
I'd love to do that. And they'll let they don't. A lot of us Republicans don't get on Broadway stages. I don't know whether you knew that or not.
Well, I kind of figured it. Yeah. Hey, let's play one of your songs. How about, can we play Broken Lady?
Why not?
Okay.
I remember how it goes.
Sing along. Here we go. Larry Gatlin and the Gatlin Brothers. There it is.
Broken lady.
Sing it, Larry.
Waiting to be mended like a pot.
Broken.
We don't need any bass on it. Come on.
Broken lady.
Oh, that's pretty good, isn't it?
Not bad for a bunch of three young boys from Texas.
Well, I'm grateful. Those old records still hold up.
Yes, they do.
I always tell people I've got pretty good help in those brothers of mine.
Well, man, thank you so much for calling, Larry. You were always so good to us back at WHN when we were trying to get started, and you were just getting started about that time too, I think. And I remember
we helped each other grow up, huh?
We sure enough did. Well, we never grew up, but we got older, didn't we?
We did, but a lot of folks didn't get older, so it's all right with me.
That's for sure. Larry, thank you, brother. God bless you.
God bless, pal. See you next time I'm in the Apple. Hug Pam Green for me.
I will. Come here, Pammy. Finish that record for us.
She vowed every morning that what God joined together, no one else in the world apart. Then the walls came tumbling to the ground. Her world came crashing down around her heart, her heart. Now she's a broken lady, waiting to be mended, like a potter when bent, a broken vase. Put back in place. 1050 WHN. Well, I love a rainy night. I love a rainy night. I love to hear the thunder, watch the lightning when it lights up the sky. You know it makes me feel good. Well, I love a rainy night, it's such a beautiful sight. I love to feel the rain on my face, taste the rain on my lips. In the moonlight shadows, showers wash all my cares away. I wake up to a sunny day, 'cause I love a rainy night. Yeah, I love a rainy night. Well, I love a rainy night. Well, I love a rainy night. Ooh, ooh. I love a rainy night. I love a rainy night. I love to hear the thunder, watch the lightning when it lights up the sky. You know it makes me feel good. Well, I love a rainy night, it's such a beautiful sight. I love to feel the rain on my face, taste the rain on my lips. In the moonlight shadows, what's a song in this heart of mine? What's a smile on my face every time? 'Cause I love a rainy night. Yeah, I love a rainy night. Ooh, I love a rainy night. Yeah, I love a rainy night. Ooh, ooh. Showers wash all my cares away. I wake up to a sunny day, 'cause I love a rainy night. Yeah, I love a rainy night. Well, I love a rainy night. I love a rainy night. Well, I love a rainy night. You can see it in my eyes. Yeah, I love a rainy night, 'cause it makes me high. I love a rainy night. No, I do. Yeah, yeah, I love a rainy night.
I love a rainy night. New Jersey's own Eddie Rabbitt. And a big hit from back in the 70s. This is Larry Kenny, and we're on WFDU 89.1 FM from Fairleigh Dickinson University, and we are doing a tribute today to WHN Radio. I assume if you're tuned in today, maybe you know, you remember WHN. It doesn't exist anymore, but at one time, back in the 70s and 80s, it was the world's most listened to country music radio station. We're all here because we were proud to be a part of that. And the thing that actually brought us all together was our good buddy Ed Salomon, who was our program director for many of those years back in the 70s and 80s, released a book yesterday called WHN, When New York City went country. The second biggest radio station in all the world, adults 25 to 49. Books have such long titles these days. Remember? What happened to books like Exodus? But this is a great book. You have to get it. Again, his name is Ed Salomon, Salamon. And there's a lot of pictures of those of us who are here today. And when we were young, so very young. I'm Larry Kenny, and I'm so proud to be a part of this whole thing. So please buy Ed's book. It's only $300. No, it's not. Of course, it's not. And I think if you're enjoying today, you will enjoy the book. All right. Now they told me what the next song is, and of course, I know what it is. We were talking earlier about the day of the first bombing at the World Trade Center, and there have been some sad times while we were I think I was on the air when we got the word that Elvis Presley had died. Back in 78, wasn't it? 78, I think I was. 77, that's right. Thank you, Dan Taylor. Who'll be on in a little bit. This song came out shortly after Elvis's death. This is Ronnie McDowell.
I was barely 6 years old when I first heard him sing. And somehow I knew from that moment on that it would be a lifetime thing. And I'd stand in front of a mirror day and night, and I'd listen to every one of his records, and I'd repeat every word and every note till I finally got it right. And I was determined that I'd wait for the day that I could stand and sing in front of an audience, and maybe someone would come up to me and say, you know, you sound just like Elvis. There was a man who gave the world his song, and the world stood still to hear him sing. A simple man who took his faith alone, while all the world proclaimed him king. Now the king is gone, and oh, what a reign, and the crown on his head will remain. From a working man to royalty to everlasting fame, the king is gone, yeah, the king is gone, but long live his name. There was a man who tasted sweet success, but still gave his hand to help a friend. A loving man who shared his happiness. Now the king is gone, but there was a man. Now the king is gone, and oh, what a reign, and the crown on his head, oh, will remain. From a working man to royalty to everlasting fame, the king is gone, yeah, the king is gone, long live his name. Yeah, the king is gone, oh, the king is gone, long live his name. Goodbye, Elvis, we'll miss you.
WHN.
You act like you were just born tonight, face down in a memory, but
Everybody's talking, but you don't hear a thing. You're still uptown on your downhill swing. Boulevard's empty, why don't you come around, baby? What is so great about sleeping downtown? There's plenty of dives to be someone you're not. Just say you're looking for something you might have forgot. Don't bother calling to say you're leaving alone, 'cause there's a fool on every corner when you're trying to get home. Just tell them you're trying to cure a 7-year ache. See what else your old heart can take. Boys say, when is he gonna give us some room? But girls say, God, I hope he comes back soon. Tell me you're trying to cure a 7-year ache. See what else your old heart can take. Boys say, when is he gonna give us some room? But girls say, God, I hope he comes back soon.
Roseanne Cash on 1050 WHN via 89.1 FM, WFDU, Fairleigh Dickinson University. I'm Larry Kenny, and thank you so much for listening to our part of our tribute to the golden years of WHN. Gene Ladd News is coming up in just a moment, a few minutes, and then Dan Taylor. I thought there'd be some like a lightning bolt or a sound. No? Okay, well, Dan Taylor will be here. First, the Everly Brothers, Phil and Don. Wake up, little Susie.
Da, 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 da. You gonna love it.
Little Susie, wake up. Wake up, little Susie, wake up. We've both been sound asleep. Wake up, little Susie, and weep. The movie's over, it's 4 o'clock, and we're in trouble deep. Wake up, little Susie. Wake up, little Susie. Well, what are we gonna tell your mama? What are we gonna tell your papa? What are we gonna tell our friends when they say, ooh la la, wake up, little Susie. Wake up, little Susie. Well, I told your mama that you'd be in by 10. Well, Susie, baby, looks like we goofed again. Wake up, little Susie. Wake up, little Susie. We gotta go home. Wake up, little Susie. Wake up. Wake up, little Susie. Wake up. The movie wasn't so hot. It didn't have much of a plot. We fell asleep. Our gooses cooked. Our reputation he shot. Wake up, little Susie. Wake up, little Susie. Well, what are we gonna tell your mama? What are we gonna tell your papa? What are we gonna tell our friends when they say, ooh la la, wake up, little Susie. Wake up, little Susie. Wake up, little Susie.
Wake up, little Susie. Hey, thank you so much for being a part for being here during my part of this tribute to the golden days of WHN. Thanks again to Ed Salomon, our program director from back there, who put this whole thing together with Pam Green and Jesse and lots of other great people. For me, it's been just a delight last night at the party and then here today to hang out with these fantastic people that had the honor of working with and knowing some 40 years ago. And I'm especially honored and just so happy to be able to say, if maybe for one last time, I hope not, but it might be, but I'm honored to say once again, ladies and gentlemen, Gene Ladd with the news.
I like to think I'd hear that again.
I think we will.
Okay. News starts out of Washington this afternoon. Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, introducing respective plans to replace sequester this week. Both bills are understood to be DOA, dead on arrival. The Republican plan maintains the level of spending cuts but allows President Obama more flexibility to blunt the impact on defense and other vital government services relating to national security. The Democratic plan pushes back the sequester until the end of the year, as in kick the can, by offsetting with an even mix of spending cuts and tax increases. None of this matters because DOA. New York Cardinal Dolan heading for Rome. He'll take part in the conclave that will select a replacement for Pope Benedict, who will become Pope Emeritus on Friday. Moment of silence observed this afternoon, 12:18 in the metropolitan area. 20 years since the first jihad attack on our World Trade Center. Our flashback year, 1976. It was the 200th birthday of our country. We marked our bicentennial with special programs and celebrations throughout the year. The murders of a couple of dating New Yorkers parking one hot July night in Brooklyn started a year-long search for the son of Sam. Finally, a postal employee in Yonkers named David Berkowitz was tried and convicted. He is serving 6 consecutive life terms. He was also known as the .44 caliber killer. It was the year of the Concorde. The big plane made its first transatlantic flights. Gasoline was 59 cents a gallon. You could buy a Polaroid camera for $28. The Dow Jones ended the year above 1,000. Nita Comaneci won gymnastic gold for a perfect score in the Olympics. 8 National Guardsmen were indicted for shooting 4 students at Kent State University. A New Jersey court ruled that Carol Ann Quinlan could be removed from life support. A couple of guys named Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak formed a new company. They called it Apple. Digital wristwatches were a big thing, and Fonzie-style leather jackets was something everybody had to have. In Nashville, it was the year of the Outlaws. Album of the year, Wanted, with Waylon Jennings, Willie Nelson, Tom Paul Glaser, and Jesse Coulter. Waylon and Willie won Duo of the Year, and the single of the year was Good-Hearted Woman. Song of the Year, Rhinestone Cowboy. Entertainer of the Year, Mel Tillis. Some clouds moving in, but no rain expected until early this evening. It's low to mid-40s for the afternoon. Overnight, heavy rain after midnight, continuing to a wet morning commute. I'm Gene Ladd, WHN News, recreating 1050 WHN on WFDU FM.
A long time forgotten, the dreams that just fell by the way. The good life he promised ain't what she's living today. Really?
But she never complains of the bad times or the bad things he's done, Lord. She just talks about the good times they've had and all the good times to come.
She's a good-hearted woman in love with a good-timing man. She loves him in spite of his ways she don't understand. Through teardrops and laughter that pass through this world hand in hand. A good-hearted woman loving a good-timing man. He likes the bright lights and nightlife and good-timing friends.
And when the party's all over, she'll welcome him back home again.
Lord knows she don't understand him, but she does the best that she can.
This a good-hearted woman loving a good-time man.
She's a good-hearted woman in love with a good-timing man. ways that she don't understand. Through teardrops and laughter, the past of this world hand in hand. A good-hearted woman loving a good-timing man. She's a good-hearted woman in love with a good-timing man. She loves me in spite of my Mickey Mouse ways.
WFDU Teaneck, commemorating the 40th anniversary of America's most popular country music radio station, WHN.
1050 WHN.
1050 WHN, New York.
My baby makes me proud. Lord, don't she make me proud. She never makes a scene by hanging all over me in a crowd. 'Cause people like to talk. Lord, don't they love to talk. But when they turn out the lights, I know she'll be breathing with me. And when we get behind closed doors, when she lets her hair hang down, and she makes me glad that I'm a man. Oh, no one knows what goes on behind closed doors. My baby makes me smile. Lord, don't she make me smile. She's never far away or too tired to say, I want you. She's always a lady, just like a lady should be. But when they turn out the lights, she's still a baby to me. 'Cause when we get behind closed doors, then she lets her hair hang down, and she makes me glad that I'm a man. Oh, no one knows what goes on behind closed doors.
Oh, sing it one more time, Charlie. How good is that? The old Silver Fox singing here on 89.1 FM WFDU. But I can say 1050 WHN, and that's what we're celebrating today. 40 years of WHN. Hi, it's Dan Taylor picking up where Larry Kenny left off. So many memories. How we're going to jam it in 1 hour, I don't know. But we're going to share some terrific music here. A word that we learned when a song like that came out, crossover. Because when you became popular as a country artist and you could get a song recognized on the pop charts too, that's what it was all about. Charlie Rich did it with that song, Behind Closed Doors. And I have to tell you, we've been bringing back so many memories all day long. It's so nice to talk to so many of you. Yesterday, we were, of course, in town celebrating, having a great time. And listening to Lee Arnold on the air again, listening to Gene Ladd and Larry, and you're going to hear, of course, from Jesse, and we heard Mike Fitzgerald as well, and the calls coming in from the listeners and calls coming in from the artists. WHN meant so much to so many people in so many different ways. I was the last guy in the air. As Dan Daniel once said, I'm the trivia question. I was the last guy on, and we heard that song by Ray Price before. Good grief, how great it was to hear again. Well, I want to share a little song right now. Another big crossover hit. We look at 1983 here.
Hi, this is Dolly Parton, reminding you that driving home is a lot more fun with Dan Taylor on America's #1 country station, 1050 WHN. And I bet it is, too.
I set out to get you with a fine-tooth comb. I was soft inside. There was something going on. You do something to me that I can't explain. Hold me closer and I feel no pain. Every beat of my heart, we got something going on. Tender love is blind, it requires a dedication. All this love we feel needs no conversation. We ride it together, making love with each other. Islands in the stream, that is what we are. No one in between. How can we be wrong? Sail away with me to another world, and we rely on each other. From one lover to another. I can't live without you if the love was gone. Everything is nothing if you got no one, and you just walk in the night, slowly losing sight of the real thing. But that won't happen to us, and we got no doubt. Too deep in love, and we got no way out, and the message is clear. This could be the year for the real thing. No more will you cry, baby, I will hurt you never. We start and end as one, in love forever. We can ride it together, making love with each other. Islands in the stream, that is what we are. No one in between. How can we be wrong? Sail away with me to another world, and we rely on each other. From one lover to another. Sail away. Oh, come sail away with me. Islands in the stream, that is what we are. No one in between. How can we be wrong? Sail away with me to another world, and we rely on each other. From one lover to another. Islands in the stream, that is what we are. No one in between. How can we be wrong? Sail away with me to another world, and we rely on each other. From one lover to another.
1050 WHN. Gotta remember those call letters. Good grief, 40 years ago. And listening to Gene Ladd bring back some of the prices and stuff. 8 cents for a first-class stamp back then. And look what we're doing now. What were we thinking? Oh, my goodness, it is nice to be here. 89.1 WFDU. They've let us take over the radio station for a bunch of time, for a bunch of memories, and a bunch of great music. And one of the great things about this radio station is being able to talk to the artists and having guest DJs. I remember Ricky Skaggs coming up and Charlie Daniels. We heard him on the air with Lee earlier. My name is Dan Taylor. I did the afternoon show here on 1050 WHN for many, many years. And we've got somebody on the phone right now. We have the phone working? Kenny, okay, this is great. You know the group well, and when I always introduced them, it was always Joe, Bill, Dwayne, and Richard Sturbin's on the phone. Hi, Richard.
Dan, hi. It's certainly a pleasure for me to be able to talk to you and to be able to talk to you on this very special day here today.
It is. It really is a special day for us, and certainly you guys. And I heard on the air earlier. I heard, of course, Joe talking a little bit and bringing back some memories. And how are you doing, my friend? You still sound like you got all the baby Sue.
Well, we got the pipes. They're still happening, and back in the days when you guys were on the air, you played those songs that featured some of those bass licks, like Elvira and Papa Mau Mau and Bobby Sue, And so you certainly did, help the Oak Ridge Boys in New York City back in those days, and we're so, grateful for what you did back in those days.
Well, not only that, but everybody knows you guys touring all over the place. But the great thing we like about the Oak Ridge Boys too is that we had some local in there too, and that being you. You're right down the road here in Camden, New Jersey, where you grew up singing years ago, right?
Well, that's true. I'm a Jersey boy, and New Jersey is kind of right next to New York City. So in some ways, I guess you can say I'm a local. You're absolutely correct.
Yeah. And we like that a lot because, one of the great things about country music is being in touch. It's the words, it's the lyrics, and people can relate so much to it. And that's something that certainly the Oak Ridge Boys do and have done in the past. What's going on in your life right now? You got your lovely wife, Donna, and your daughters and stuff. What's going on in your life these days, Richard?
Well, we're having a very exciting year. This is our 40th year together. We were actually celebrating 40 years of being together as the Oak Ridge Boys this whole year, and it's very exciting. I think if you had asked any one of the four of us 40 years ago if we thought that 40 years later we would still be doing it and doing it at such a high level, I don't know that any of us would have believed that. But here we are today, celebrating our history of the past 40 years, and we're getting very excited. This week, we're getting ready to leave for what we call the Oak Ridge Boys Rally at Sea.
Oh.
And we are actually going to be taking a cruise starting on Thursday. We're going to be leaving out of Miami. We're going to Key West, and we're going to Cozumel.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to spend a day at sea, then get back in on Monday, and we're going to have 4 great days out in the Caribbean with Oak Ridge Boys fans.
Wow.
And, we're looking forward to it. It's going to be a great time. Some nice weather and some good food and a lot of fun, and a chance for our fans to kind of spend some time with the Oak Ridge Boys and possibly get to know us just a little bit better. So that's coming up this week.
Have you done anything different since those years ago when you started out touring? I mean, now we have this new technology. This whole thing is being video streamed. They're watching us here in the studio right now, Richard, and we're listening online, and we have Twitter, and we have the iPhones and the smartphones, and the technology and everything has made it so much worldwide, so such a bigger appeal, too, hasn't it, for you guys?
Well, there's no question about it. I think today's modern technology has certainly changed the way we do things,
right.
And there are just so many more opportunities now, and so possibly, the Oak Ridge Boys are not getting the airplay that we used to get, but there's more than one way to skin a cat, so to speak.
Absolutely.
And with this technology, with Twitter and all the social media, that we can still get the message out, that what is happening with the Oak Ridge Boys, and it's kind of an exciting. Actually, it's very exciting to be living in this day and age with all these things at our disposal. It really is.
Well, I look at how much of a community we are. In Ed Salamon's book, which you've been hearing us talk about here, When New York City Went Country, there's a great photo of you and Joe and the gang with George Jones and Lee Arnold and, of course, Ed Salomon. It's just terrific to see this. It just brings back a lot of memories here.
Well, I wish I had a chance to see it. It sounds very exciting. The personalities that you mentioned right there, were very special people back in those days, and still are today. So it's great to to take a picture with Lee Arnold, with Ed Salomon. How could we ever forget those guys?
Yeah. Well, we're never going to forget you because you're still out there, still doing it. Have a great time with the tour. Richard Sturbin, the Oak Ridge Boys. We're going to play a little ditty here called American Made, and you guys are, and thank you for being here with us on our great 1050 WHN reunion.
Can I get just one plug in here before I leave?
Sure.
Coming up here within the next 2 weeks, on March 11th,
Yeah.
the Oak Ridge Boys will be appearing right in New York City at the Winery. And
Oh, my goodness.
The concert will be broadcast by Sirius XM Radio.
Mhm.
So, come on out and check out the Oak Ridge Boys at the Winery on March the 11th.
I like it. All right, Richard Sturban, thanks for coming by and chat with us today on 89.1 WFDU. They've let us take over for this 40th anniversary. Richard Sturban, everybody. Always great to hear. All right, let's play some American-made music right now. The Oak Ridge Boys.
Seems everything I buy these days has got a foreign name.
From the kind of car I drive to my video game.
I got a Nikon camera, a Sony color TV.
But the one that I love is from the USA and standing next to me.
My baby is American made, born and bred in the USA. From her silky long hair to her sexy long legs, my baby is American made.
She looks good in her tight blue jeans. She bought in Mexico.
And she loves wearing French perfume everywhere we go.
But when it comes to the loving part, one thing is true.
My baby's genuine USA, red, white, and blue.
My baby is American made, born and bred in the USA. From her silky long hair to her sexy long legs, my baby is American made. My baby is American made, born and bred in the USA. From her silky long hair to her sexy long legs, my baby is American made. My baby is American made, born and bred in the USA. From her silky long hair to her sexy long legs, my baby is American made. My baby is American made, born and bred in the USA. From her silky long hair to her sexy long legs, my baby is American made.
Dan Taylor, WHN.
The preacher man says it's the end of time, and the Mississippi River, she's a going dry. The interest is up and the stock market's down, and you're only getting mugged if you go downtown. I live back in the woods, you see, my woman and the kids and the dogs and me. I got a shotgun, a rifle, and a four-wheel drive, and a country boy can survive. Country folks can survive. I can plow a field all day long. I can catch catfish from dusk till dawn. We make our own whiskey and our own smoke too. Ain't too many things these old boys can't do. We grow good old tomatoes and homemade wine, and country boy can survive. Country folks can survive. Because you can't starve us out and you can't make us run. Those when them old boys raised on shotguns. We say grace and we say ma'am. If you ain't into that, we don't give a damn. from the West Virginia coal mines and the Rocky Mountains and the western skies. And we can skin a buck, we can run a trot line, and a country boy can survive. Country folks can survive. I had a good friend in New York City. He never called me by my name, just Hillbilly. My grandpa taught me how to live off the land, and his taught him to be a businessman. He used to send me pictures of the Broadway nights, and I'd send him some homemade wine. But he was killed by a man with a switchblade knife. For $43, my friend lost his life. I'd love to spit some beach nut in that dude's eyes and shoot him with my old 45, 'cause a country boy can survive. Country folks can survive. 'Cause you can't stop us out and you can't make us run, 'cause we're them old boys raised on shotgun. We say grace and we say ma'am, and you ain't into that, we don't give a damn. We're from North California and South Alabama and little towns all around this land. We can skin a buck and run a trot line, and a country boy can survive. Country folks can survive. Country boy can survive. Country folks can survive.
Oh, that's good. Country boy can survive. Hank Jr. Remember doing a show with Hank Williams Jr. at out in Bayshore, Long Island, and he had said some stuff that caused a lot of issues. And he was going out there, and he showed me in the bus these pearl-handled silver revolvers, and he says, "What do you think of these? I'm going to go on stage with you." I said, "No, you're not." But they had made a big deal about it. He was going to wear a bulletproof vest and all this stuff, and I was thinking, wait a minute, I'm the MC. I haven't got a bulletproof vest. What's that all about? But just the same. What a guy. What a singer, living in his daddy's shadow and, of course, coming into his own. Hey, listen, got to say hi to a lot of people. The world of technology today. Of course, 1050 WHN, we're remembering today. Our good friend Ed Salomon has put together an incredible book about the memories and the music, the artists, the listeners, the second biggest radio station in all time when New York City went country. It's a wonderful biography of what it was like to be there if you weren't. And I'll tell you, it's terrific. But with the technology we have today, we can say things like this. I want to say hi to Duff. He's enjoying the WHN reunion and the music. He says, hi, Duff, enjoying it. His name is Paul Kennedy. He's in Halifax, Nova Scotia. Listen to us right now, and it's terrific. So I hope we're sounding good in Halifax today. And, of course, with WHN signal of 50,000 watts, we covered a lot of that, too. So it's great to be listening online in Halifax. Dan Taylor, I did afternoons here for a number of years, signed the station off when we went off the air. But one of the things we did, which was kind of fun, it was sort of done by accident, an artist to come out with a medley of Presley songs, Elvis Presley songs. And so what we thought was, would be great if we did our own version. And I almost got it released on RCA Records, a medley. It was called just a Presley party. And the late Dean Hallam was the program director and sort of started me on doing that. And so it sort of evolved from there, and we started doing like little mini concerts to play on the air, and listeners absolutely loved it. So I would edit together the songs to make it sound not like a record commercial, but literally make it sound like it was a concert. And it would come out something like this. And you're going to hear the crowd in the background of this. I'm going to tell you a little story about it afterwards because it's not what you think. That was the magic of radio. So boys are here right now. You guys ready? Tell us about it.
Hey, Dan Taylor.
Yeah.
Ain't we having fun now?
I like it. Let's go ahead to an Alabama mini concert right here at 89.1 FM.
I once thought above as a prison, a place I didn't want to be. So long ago, I made a decision to be footloose and fancy free. But you came and I was tears can't drown and makeup can't disguise. Now that old flame might not be stronger, but it's been burning longer than any spark I might have started in your eyes. Thank you very much. Sometimes her morning cough is way too strong, and sometimes what she says all wrong. But right or wrong, she's there beside me, like only a friend would be. She's close enough to perfect for me. I was born across the river in the mountains where I call home. Lord, times are good there, don't know why I ever wrong. Oh, Tennessee River and the mountain man, we get together anytime we can. Oh, Tennessee River and the mountain man, we play together in Mother Nature's band. Oh, play me some mountain music like Grandma and Grandpa used to play. Then I'll float on down the river to Cajun Hideaway. Hey, hey. Oh, play me mountain music. Oh, play me mountain music. Oh, play me mountain music. Oh, play.
Love it. Give a big hand to him. That's great. Alabama mini concert. A whole lot of editing put together to make that work in the studio, but I had a lot of fun putting it together. And the little thing I was going to tell you about it was, see, they didn't have a live album out yet. And, they had, 73 million records. They had 30 number one songs. And it was kind of amazing. There was no live version, so we had to come up and create it. So where did the crowd noise come from? Well, I'll let you in a little secret. The crowd noise came from a Barbara Mandrell live album. And what I did was I took all of the cheering and looped it together. We used to use magnetic tape in the old days and splice it together with, tape and all that stuff. Very sophisticated, not like cut and paste like you do today in your laptop. And I'd loop it around a garbage can. It would come back onto the reel-to-reel machine, and we would just fade it in at appropriate points, and that's how we made it. Anyway, a lot of fun to do. We did one for Willie Nelson. We did a Kenny medley, and they were just fun stuff and a way to get all of the hits on in about 4 minutes' time, which was a ton of fun. This is 89.1 WFDU. My name is Dan Taylor. We're celebrating 1050 WHN's 40th anniversary. Today, 40 years ago, the race was on. But, okay, we left everybody in the dust because this station became one of the biggest and the best in the world with country music. And it's because of people like you that were listening, fans that were listening, and even the artists that were listening. They were big fans. We have artists listening right now, as a matter of fact. So thanks for being on board here. I want to play a song from a lady who I met several times. Lovely redheaded lady that you've probably, a lot of people got exposure to on television. Didn't even know she had country music at the time, perhaps. You remember the TV series, of course, Reba. She was on Broadway, really came to her own, and Annie Get Your Gun. But she came to her own with this album. And this is a big song, and it sort of opened up country music in the North, so to speak. Whoever's in New England, the great Reba McEntire right here on 89.1 WFDU and a 1050 WHN memory.
Massachusetts. Seems like every other week you've got a meeting waiting there. Business must be booming, or could something else be moving in the air up there? You say that it's important for our future. An executive on his way up has got to play the part. And each time duty calls, you gotta give it all you've got with all your heart. But when whoever's in New England's through with you, and Boston finds better things to do, you know it's not too late, 'cause you'll always have a place to come back to. When whoever's in New England's through with you. I hear the winter time up north can last forever, and I've been told it's beautiful to see this time of year. They say the snow can blind you till the world you left behind just disappears, I hear. I've packed your bags and left them in the hallway, but before you leave again, there's just one thing you ought to know. When the icy wind blows through you, remember that it's me who feels so cold most of all. When whoever's in New England's through with you, oh, in Boston finds better things to do, oh, you know it's not too late, and you'll always have a place to come back to. When whoever's in New England's through with you.
1050 WHN. Nothing but a hound dog. You're crying all the time. You ain't nothing but a hound dog. Crying all the time. Well, you ain't never caught a rabbit and you ain't no friend of mine. Well, they said you was high class. Well, that was just a lie. Yeah, they said you was high class. Well, that was just a lie. Yeah, you ain't never caught a rabbit and you ain't no friend old friend of mine.
The King. Right here at 89.1 WFDU. It's the 1050 WHN reunion. Such a great song. And I remember, of course, years ago, my dear departed aunt who once met Elvis out in Germany. It was at actually was on leave in Germany. It was in France at a bistro, and she got his autograph on a napkin from the bistro all those years ago. Remember that story? I was so impressed with that. But I just realized something. I've been on the air for 20 minutes, and I haven't done a time check. I haven't done a weather forecast. I'm in disc jockey withdrawal here. I mean, well, anyway, we move along with a great song here. And what a great lady, too. Had many chances to meet and speak with her. And you know her well. Her name of Crystal Gale. Her great husband, Bill Gatzimos, of course, was her high school sweetheart. It's a fairy tale come true for them. A couple of great kids, Catherine and Chris. Just great people. And that's one of the great things about these terrific artists that you're listening to today. As people you hear on the radio and as people you meet in person, where they will wait after a concert to sign every autograph right down to the last person. That's what it's all about, and that's what's so great about country music. You got to know that. So let's play a song here from Crystal Gale. And speaking of time checks,
3 o'clock in the morning, and it looks like it's gonna be another sleepless night. I've been listening to your dreams and getting very low, wondering what I can do. Maybe I'm being foolish, 'cause I haven't heard you mention anybody's name at all. How I wish I could be sure it's me that turns you on. Each time you close your eyes, I've heard it said that dreamers never lie. You've been talking in your sleep, sleeping in your dreams with some sweet lover, holding on so tight, loving her the way you used to love me. Talking in your sleep with loving on your mind. Maybe I'm being foolish, 'cause I haven't heard you mention anybody's name at all. How I wish I could be sure it's me that turns you on. Each time you close your eyes, I've heard it said that dreamers never lie. You've been talking in your sleep, sleeping in your dreams with some sweet lover, holding on so tight, loving her the way you used to love me. Talking in your sleep with loving on your mind.
what a voice.
You've been talking in your sleep.
Love her so much. Yeah, Crystal Gale right here on our 1050 WHN reunion. She told me once it took her 6 hours. 6 hours to actually dry her hair. 6 hours. Unlike me when it takes 6 seconds.
Dan Taylor, 1050 WHN.
Nickels and dimes, memories and wine. She's on his mind once again. The same old stew, the same old fool. Played by the rules but didn't win. There's an old love in his heart that he can't lose. He tried forgetting, but he knows that it's no use. He's got a full-hearted memory. It won't let him see that she walked out the door. He's got a full-hearted memory. He sits patiently here every night so it can fool him more. She was his girl, his only world, that string of pearls that slipped away. 1,000 dimes, 1,000 times, he doesn't mind what they say. He fills a jukebox, then plays the same old song. He fills his glass, and then he turns her memory on. But it's a full-hearted memory. It won't let him see that she walked out the door. He's got a full-hearted memory. He sits patiently here every night so it can fool him more. He's got a full-hearted memory. It won't let him see that she walked out the door. He's got a full-hearted memory.
Now tell me that doesn't sound a little bit like Merle Haggard. That's what I love so much about George Strait, because I'm a huge Haggard fan. More album, more songs, more music, number ones than anybody on the planet, that guy, George Strait. So good to hear that song right here on 1050 WHN. It's actually 89.1 FM. There's nothing wrong with your radio, but they've been kind enough to let us take over. And remember, WHN, 40 years ago today, we put it into New York City. Country music came to the Big Apple, and the memories live on. There's a great book about it. I'm going to tell you about that in just a little bit here. Great story here. I got a chance to introduce the Highwaymen and on stage at Radio City Music Hall. And, you know, we played Johnny Cash before. You heard Larry mentioning it. And it was kind of interesting because when I first met the Highwaymen, I met them individually, but Johnny was always very reserved. So I go on stage at Radio City. I'm, hey, how's everybody doing the first tier, the second, and everybody get them. You get ready to the Highwaymen? Yeah. So I walk off stage, get everybody pumped up, and Johnny literally jumped up and went, hey, all right, that was great. Scared the heck out of me. I've never seen him so animated before. But they put on some terrific music, as you well know. Let's move on to a song with a guy that, of course, is Merle Haggard, and a guy that, of course, is Willie Nelson. If you have this album at home, check the title, because they made a run of these records, and the album has a typo in it. The first run of the records, it said Poncho and Lefty, and they spelled Poncho, P-O-N-C-H-O, instead of P-A-N-C-H-O. I don't know what it's worth today at eBay. It might get you the price of gas in New York City now. Who knows? But you might want to check it out. Let's listen to some music right now. This is the way it's done right here. 89.1 FM WFDU, remembering 40 years of country at the one and only 1050 WHN.
Living on the road, my friend, was gonna keep you free and clean. And now you wear your skin like iron, and your breath is hard as kerosene. You weren't your mama's only boy, but her favorite one, it seemed. She began to cry when you said goodbye. Sank into your dream. Pancho was a bandit boy. His horse was fast as polished steel. He wore his gun outside his pants for all the honest world to feel. Well, Pancho met his match, you know, on the deserts down in Mexico. Nobody heard his dying word. Oh, but that's the way it goes. All the federalists say Lefty, he can't sing the blues all night long like he used to. The dusty poncho bit down south ended up and left his mouth. The day they laid poor Poncho low, Lefty split for Ohio, where he got the bread to go. There ain't nobody knows. All the federales say they could have had him any day. We only let him slip away out of kindness, I suppose.
Tell how Pancho fell and left his living in a cheap hotel. The desert's quiet, Cleveland's cold, and so the story ends, we're told. Pancho needs your prayers, it's true, to save a few for Lefty too. He only did what he had to do. Now he's growing old.
All federales say we could have had him any day.
We only let him go so long out of kindness, I suppose. A few gray federales say could have had him any day. We only let him go so long out of kindness, I suppose.
It's lonely out tonight, and the feeling just got right for a brand new love song. Somebody done somebody wrong song. Hey, won't you play another somebody done somebody wrong song, and make me feel at home while I miss my baby, while I miss my baby. So play for me a sad melody, so sad that it makes everybody cry. A real hurting song about love that's gone wrong, 'cause I don't wanna cry all alone. Hey, won't you play another somebody done somebody wrong song, and make me feel at home while I miss my baby, while I miss my baby. So play for me a sad melody, so sad that it makes everybody cry. A real hurting song about love that's gone wrong. 'Cause I don't wanna cry all alone. Hey, won't you play another somebody done somebody wrong song and make me feel at home while I miss my baby, while I miss my baby. Hey, won't you play another somebody?
Got to be one of the longest titles on the planet. Hey, won't you play another somebody done somebody wrong song? Here on 89.1 WFDU, but it's 1050 WHN today. We're remembering 40 years ago. A lot of great memories, a lot of great music, and this technology. We were talking about it earlier with Richard Sturban. We're on streaming online. You mean they can see what I look like? You're kidding me. Oh, we got people. Hi there. Oh, that's what that is right there. I thought that was like a little cell phone or something. Anyway, WFDU.FM. It's online, right? WFDU.FM. And right on the homepage there, you can find a little link. And you can watch us here in the studio and see the madness and see the fun and see that I have a great face for radio. I tell you that. Oh.
Cheated, been mistreated. When will I be loved? I've been pushed down. I've been pushed round. When will I be loved? When I find a new man that I want for mine, he always breaks my heart in two. It happens every time. I've been made blue. I've been lied to. When will I be loved? When I find a new man that I want for mine, he always breaks my heart in two. It happens every time. I've been cheated, been mistreated. When will I be loved? When will I be loved? Tell me, when will I be loved?
Well, I can fit you in next Tuesday. I'll tell you now, Linda Ronstadt right here at 1050 WHN, remembering 40 years of terrific music, terrific memories. A great new book Ed Salomon has out called The Day WHN Went Country, and we have it here for you. And it's just a great book. You have got to check it out online. Get this book and read about the memories, and you can hear in your mind the music that you're hearing all day today at 89.1 WFDU. And it is years of doing Afternoon Drive here. Many years I was doing it. I'd hand over the news to this gentleman here, and it's so good to see you again, my friend Gene Ladd. I have a little surprise for you.
Uh-oh.
A little surprise for you. Never knew when the microphone was running. One of the fun parts about doing this, by the way, I have to tell you before I even do this, because I must, Jessie, lovely Jessie, is next right here on 89.1 WFDU. You know her on the radio station already, but she's going to be here in moments to share some great music and some great stories from 1050 WHN. Got to do that right now. But first, you never know when the tape was rolling at the station. Gene Ladd would be doing the news, and I would, I'd have the microphone, I'd roll a tape, and he'd be in there getting his stuff prepared, and he could sing. And he's a great singer, and he's a great songwriter. This song should have been a hit. This would have been right up there with a Grammy. Listen to Gene Ladd about 1982.
Here's a quarter. Let me hear my sad, sad song again.
Yeah.
Here's $1 for my drink now. Pour it strong.
Sing it, Gene.
By the morning, I'll be ready to give my love again. But tonight, The jukebox understands.
Oh, a little bit of a warble in there. I like that.
How long I worked to get rid of that accent.
Gene Ladd right here on 1050 WHN. It's good to see you, my friend. We got a lot of memories of a lot of the years gone by, and let's do it right now.
This has been such a great 24 hours.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Not so great for people out west. The second major snowstorm of the week is hitting the nation's midsection. Half a foot or more of snow across Missouri, Kansas. Power cut to thousands, gusting winds blowing snow into huge drifts. Treacherous driving conditions for those who dare to drive. About 40,000 people in northwest Missouri and northeast Kansas woke up with no power. The wet snow just broke the power lines. Kansas City, Missouri, in a state of emergency. Blinding snowfall made worse by the gusting winds. That's not exactly what's on our way. Our forecast is a little better than that. Washington, not a very good forecast. Jitters getting worse over sequester. Still no sign of a compromise that could lead to any way of averting those mandatory spending reductions. There's stories circulating about clandestine auctions taking place in Egypt's Sinai Desert. They're putting bombs, anti-tank missiles, and atomic weapons into the hands of sophisticated terror groups, increasing tensions in the Middle East, potentially putting Americans around the globe in greater danger. Our flashback here, 1977. Sad year for Pam Green. We lost the king. Elvis Presley was only 42 when he died of a heart attack at Graceland. For more than 3 decades, though, his music remained on top moneymaker for 30 years after his death. It was only just recently toppled off. Thousands of fans still visit Graceland every year. In July, a series of lightning strikes at power stations in the Con Ed grid led to a blackout that involved a large portion of the Northeast. It lasted for about 25 hours. 4,000 people rescued from the subways, and 4,500 people arrested for looting. But all in all, the Big Apple became a small town with neighbors helping neighbors cope with the lack of electricity. First oil came through the Alaska pipeline in this year. The World Trade Center was finally completed. Jimmy Carter, a former Navy nuclear physicist, was elected president. Seattle Slew won the Kentucky Derby and went on to win the Triple Crown at Belmont. Bikinis cost $10. You could buy a wrist radio for $7.95. For $16.95, you could get a 40-channel CB set and talk to long-haul truckers all day, good buddy.
All right.
On TV, we were watching Roots, the miniseries. We also saw Star Wars, Rocky, Smokey and the Bandit, and Saturday Night Fever on the big screen. Johnny Cash hosted the 11th Annual Country Music Association Awards at the Grand Ole Opry House. Crystal Gale won female vocalist, beating out her former housemate in Butcher Holler, Loretta Lynn. Lucille won Single of the Year. That was the start of many honors for Kenny Rogers. But the night belonged to Ronnie Millsap, who went home with 3 big ones: Album, Male Vocalist, and Entertainer of the Year. Expect increasing cloudiness through this afternoon, heavy rain after midnight. I'm Gene Ladd on WHN, recreating the great 1050 format today on WFDU FM.
Here you come again, just when I've begun to get myself together. You waltz right in the door, just like you've done before, and wrap my heart round your little finger. Here you come again, just when I'm about to make it work without you. You look into my eyes and lie those pretty lies, and pretty soon I'm wondering how I came to doubt you. All you gotta do is smile and smile, and there go all my defenses. Just leave it up to you, and in a little while you're messing up my mind and filling up here I go. Here you come again, and here I go. Here I
WFDU Teaneck, commemorating the 40th anniversary of America's most popular country music radio station, WHN.
1050 WHN.
1050 WHN, New York.
On one hand, I count the reasons I could stay with you and hold you close to me all night long. So many lovers' games I'd love to play with you. On that hand, there's no reason why it's wrong. But on the other hand, there's a golden band to remind me of someone who would not understand. On one hand, I could stay and be your loving man, but the reason I must go is on the other hand. In your arms I feel the passions I thought it died. When I looked into your eyes, I found myself. And when I first kissed your lips, I felt so alive. I've got to hand it to you, girl, you're something else. But on the other hand, there's a golden band to remind me of someone who would not understand. On one hand, I could stay and be your loving man, but the reason I must go is on the other hand. Yeah, the reason I must go is on the other hand.
1050 WHN. Jesse Scott here. It is so amazing to be sharing this day with you and with all of the other WHN DJs and behind the scenes folks. We had an amazing evening last night as we did a panel discussion at Hill Country, bringing together the air staff for the first time, and I don't even know how many years, a long, long time. Great to see everybody, and amazing to listen to everyone today. I have had tears since first thing this morning, just thinking about all of the memories and hearing songs like For the Good Times. I just still can't hear that without crying. And so it's just been a blast. Everybody's downstairs. We were at WFDU, who so graciously gave us the airwaves today to recreate the sound of WHN on this would have been its 40th anniversary today. And we have a phone call from way back when. It's William Lee Golden of the Oak Ridge Boys. How are you?
Jesse, I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderfully. It is so good to hear your voice.
Yeah, what a great surprise here, and congratulations on 40-year anniversary of WHN Radio in New York City.
I remember playing you on the radio back then and just being so excited about the flavor that you brought. You know, there was just this great gospel infusion and terrific spirit. And there was nobody that sounded like you. And, you know, I talk about that now, that there were people that were really kind of carved out of stone in that era, that Dolly Parton was an entity, that you guys were an entity, that everybody, you know, really had a persona. They had a sound. It was unmistakable. And, you know, I don't think they're making country like that anymore.
Well, I tell you, I love country music, and it's amazing to see the evolution of country music, which it's always evolved, you know, from one generation to another. But it's so exciting even today with where country is. You know, you've got a lot of great talent, Taylor Swifts, and just a slew of fantastic country music singers and performers and writers and musicians. It's just a real exciting time for country right now.
No doubt about it.
I know when we were singing, you know, which we're still singing, we travel 155, 160 days a year on the road, touring all across the country. And I feel so blessed that we're still able to continue our traveling and touring, and that the people are still filling the auditoriums to hear the Oak Ridge Boys sing and play music. And, you know, we just got a lot to be thankful for, and to have good health, and to still be able to keep up with a grueling schedule. And it's just
live the life
time
you love.
marches on, you know.
Well, I just want to say that you guys were so big and, you know, have continued just to do enormous and wonderful, and I love watching your show. But you guys were so big. There was one year you were on the lead float of the Macy Thanksgiving Day Parade. Do you remember that?
I do remember that. And we were on the turkey float that year, and I tell you, I drank way too much coffee before I got on that float, and I thought I was going to float before the end of that parade. I've never been so happy and miserable at the same time in my life, I guess, and it's still something that sticks out in my mind every time I think about that Macy's Day Parade, and hanging out with you and Bob during that time period, and it's just a lot of treasured memories, Jesse.
Oh, for me too. And one of these days, I'll be back in Nashville. I can't wait to see you. It's so good to see you carrying on, all of you, and continued success to you and the rest of the Oak Ridge Boys. William Lee Golden.
It's great to hear you on the radio again, too, Jesse.
Would you set this song up? We're going to play Thank God for Kids.
Okay, great. Yeah, I've got an 11-year-old son, Solomon, right now.
Oh, my gosh, that's incredible.
Yeah, it's the joy of our life here.
That's so sweet. Is there something you want to say about the song?
About Thank God for Kids, well, it was released in 1982. It was released off of a Christmas album, but it actually became a lot more than a Christmas song. The New Year come and went, and it just kept going right on up the country charts. It became a huge country music song, and it's just been a must in our concerts ever since, you know. And each year it seems like that the song grows in meanings to me, because it was after it was released a while there that I then became a grandfather, and now then, you know, I've got 6 grandkids, and now a son that's a young son, Solomon, that's 11 years old, and so life is good, and I'm just so thankful to God for kids every day that I live.
And we are thankful for you, William Lee Golden, the Oak Ridge Boys. Thank God for Kids. Thank you. 1050 WHN.
If it weren't for kids, have you ever thought there wouldn't be no Santa Claus? Or look what the stork just brought, thank God for kids. we'd all live in a quiet house without Big Bird or a Mickey Mouse. Kool-Aid on the couch, thank God for kids. Thank God for kids, there's magic for a while. A special kind of sunshine and a smile. Do you ever stop to think or wonder why? The nearest thing to heaven is a child. Daddy, how does this thing fly? And 100 other wheres and whys. I really don't know, but I try. Thank God for kids. When I look down in those trusting eyes that look to me, I realize there's love that I can't buy. Thank God for kids. Thank God for kids, there's magic for a while. A special kind of sunshine and a smile. Do you ever stop to think or wonder why? The nearest thing to heaven is a child. When you get down on your knees tonight and thank the Lord for His guiding light, pray they turn out right. Thank God for kids. Thank God for kids.
To sit away, oh, oh, just to sit away. I can't wait another day. I think I'm giving in. I love to hold you tight, oh, oh, be with you tonight. But that still won't make it right, 'cause I belong to Him. Oh, way down deep inside, I know that it's all wrong. Your eyes keep tempting me, and I never was that strong. Devil's got me now, oh, gone and got me now. I can't find him anyhow. I think he's gonna win. Heaven's just a sin away, oh, oh, just a sin away. Heaven help me when I say I think I'm giving in. Oh, way down deep inside, I know that it's all wrong. Your eyes keep tempting me, and I never was that strong. Devil's got me now, oh, oh, gone and got me now. I can't find him anyhow. I think he's gonna win. Heaven's just a sin away, oh, oh, just a sin away. Heaven help me when I say I think I'm giving in. Heaven's just a sin away, oh, oh, just a sin away. I can't wait another day. I think I'm giving in. I love to hold you tight, oh, oh, be with you tonight.
The Kendalls at 1050 WHN. Heaven's just a sin away. You know, all day today, as we are recreating the sounds of WHN from way back when, I've been singing along to all these songs. Somehow they are indelibly etched in my brain. It's pretty amazing. Some of them I haven't heard in a really long time. I'm Jessie, and I used to do the evening show at WHN. I was on from 1975 to 1981. And then I came back for a real quick couple of months in 1984. I had gone over to WNBC and I got rehired, but then I went back to WNBC and then out to LA, and it's been an odyssey since then for me. I'm newly back in New York as of October, and so happy to be here, and so happy to be bringing you this music and what WHN meant to us, and some of the stories behind the scenes all day today here at WFDU. We thank you guys for allowing us to do this. The Lone Star Cafe opened not long after I started at WHN, and I found myself there more and more as we were all so immersed in country and country coming to the city. And there was a zeitgeist at the time. It was really amazing. But yet we were very unaware of the impact that we were having on the audience. And one night I got a phone call. I used to work till midnight, and I got a phone call from somebody at the Lone Star saying, you have to get down here right away because Eddie Rabbitt wants to meet you. Now, we had been playing Eddie Rabbitt, and, you know, for Eddie Rabbitt to know who I was and be inviting me down to see his show at the Lone Star Cafe that night, I can't tell you how tickled I was. I want to play some Eddie Rabbitt. He became a dear friend. So sorry that he's not with us anymore, but fond memories and lots of pictures too, which I'm really happy that I have kind of chronicled. So this is Eddie Rabbitt from 1979. It was the number 3 song of the year, Suspicions. 1050 WHN.
I'm so glad that I met you, baby. And I'm so proud when we walk down the street. And I know it's crazy to worry like I do, but I get this feeling that I'm losing you. I get these suspicions, even though I know that you love me, baby, and I really shouldn't feel this way. Suspicion, I can't help it, you're just so good looking. I'm afraid somebody's gonna steal you away from me. When I go out to a party with you, you always turn every head in the room, and I just know what's on every man's mind. I try to fight it, but it gets me sometimes. I get these suspicions, even though I know that you love me, baby, and I really shouldn't feel this way. Suspicion, I can't help it, you're just so good looking. I'm afraid somebody's gonna steal you away from me. Touch me when you lay by my side, and that look you get in your eyes when you're young, it makes me hate myself for what I'm thinking of. I get these suspicions, even though I know that you love me, baby, and I really shouldn't feel this way.
suspicions. I can't help it, you're just so good looking. I'm afraid somebody's gonna steal you away from me. Suspicions, even though I know that you love me, baby, and I really shouldn't feel this way. Suspicions, I can't help it, you're just so good looking. I'm afraid somebody's gonna steal you away from me.
1050 WHN.
Sometimes it's hard to be a woman, giving all your love to just one man. You'll have bad times and he'll have good times, doing things that you don't understand. But if you love him, you'll forgive him, even though he's hard to understand. And if you love him, oh, be proud of him, 'cause after all, he's just a man. Stand by your man, give him 2 arms to cling to, and something warm to come to when nights are cold and lonely. Stand by your man and show the world you love him. Keep giving all the love you can. Stand by your man. Stand by your man and show the world you love him. Keep giving all the love you can. Stand by your man.
1050 WHN with the amazing Tammy Wynette and Stand By Your Man. I got to do some commercials for Tammy Wynette albums. That was something on the side that kept happening during those heady days of country ascending in New York City. Of course, the agencies were all in New York making commercials for record labels as new albums came out, and I did them for Crystal Gale and Tammy and a whole host of other people. We got to hang out back then also with the artists. One of the things that Larry Kenny talked about on the panel last night, but it is eternally true, is that country stars really embraced the people around them in a way that did not happen in any other genre, and really made us feel like part of the family. So we got to be friends with them. We got to go to dinner with them. We got to do a lot of really cool things, including Tammy's husband and singing partner, George Jones, coming to New York. He had a New York phobia. Every time he came, he got sick, couldn't perform, canceled the show, sometimes canceled in advance and didn't even make it to New York. And this happened about 4 times. On the 4th or 5th time that he came, he wasn't feeling well. And I had been to a cocktail party with him prior to the engagement, which I think was at the bottom. Yeah, it was. It was at the Bottom Line. And he kept telling me how sick he was and he didn't think that he could perform. We got to the venue. We get to the Bottom Line, and I'm looking out the audience from the backstage area, and I see Bonnie Raitt, and I see Phoebe Snow, and he says to me, wow, you know what would really help me is getting them on stage to sing with me, but I'm too shy to ask, and I would be so embarrassed if I asked from stage and they didn't want to come up and sing with me. And I said, George, don't worry about it. And I went out into the audience and I asked them to get on stage with him. Now, the really funny thing is, a couple of nights ago, I went to see a show with Jim Lauderdale and Buddy Miller in the city, and they were both at the show. Now, Buddy and Jim are recording artists in their own right and have teamed up of late for an album together called Buddy and Jim, and they're both amazing. Buddy, longtime Kinky Friedman sideman, and Jim Lauderdale is a jack-of-all-trades MVP. He's played from with everyone from Dr. Ralph Stanley to the Rolling Stones. Anyway, I didn't realize they were in the room that night, and I haven't ever told them that story, that I was there too. But you never know the seeds you plant. In any case, George Jones, amazing nights. Another amazing thing that we got to do at WHN was kind of think outside the box, and I credit Ed Solomon, the program director, with that. He thought that if it sounded country, we should play it if it was good. We had no borders. We had no boundaries. And there were things like the Everly Brothers, really, that hadn't seen much light of day back in the day when they were hits, that were embraced by country, but it sounded country, and so we played stuff like that. And then the Eagles came along. And the Eagles, of course, came from that great Southern California country rock era. And we got to play them on the radio and make a really big deal about them. And it kind of revolutionized the way the world thought of country. It's the Eagles and Lion Eyes as we recreate the sounds of WHN 1050 here at WFDU 89.1.
City girls just seem to find out early how to open doors with just a smile. A rich old man, and she won't have to worry. She'll dress up all in lace and go in style. Late at night, a big old house gets lonely. I guess every form of refuge has its price, and it breaks her heart to think her love is only given to a man with hands as cold as ice. So she tells him she must go out for the evening to comfort an old friend who's feeling down. But he knows where she's going and she's leaving. She is headed for the cheating side of town. You can't her feel the way she used to feel. She rushes to his arms, they fall together. She whispers it's only for a while. She swears that soon herself a strong one and stares out at the stars up in the sky. Another night, it's gonna be a long one. She draws a shade and hangs her head to cry. She wonders how it ever got this crazy. She thinks about a boy she knew in school. Did she get tired or did she just get lazy? She's so far gone she feels just like a fool. My oh my, you sure know how to arrange things. You set it up so well, so carefully. Ain't it funny how your new life didn't change things? You're still the same old girl you used to be. You can't hide your lying eyes, and your smile is a thin disguise. I thought by now you'd realize there ain't no way to hide your lying eyes. There ain't no way to hide your lying eyes. Honey, you can't hide your lying eyes.
1015 WHN. WHN.
I'll need time to get you off my mind, and I may sometimes bother you, try to be in touch with you, even ask too much of you from time to time. Now and then, Lord, you know I'll need a friend till I get used to losing you. Let me keep on using you till I can make it on my own.
I'll get by, but no matter how I try, there'll be times you know I'll call. Chances are my tears will fall, and I'll have no pride at all from time to time. But they say, well, there'll be a brighter day, but till then I'll lean on you. That's all I mean to do, till I can make it on my own. Surely someday I'll look up and see the morning sun without another lonely night behind me. Then I'll know I'm over you and all my crying's done. No more hurting memories can find me. But till then, Lord, you know I'm gonna need a friend
till I get used to losing you. Let me keep on using you till I can make it on my own. Till I can make it on my own.
The real deal. Till I Can Make It on My Own, from the pen of Tammy Wynette, as done by Kenny Rogers and Dottie West at 1050 WHN. Number 5 song in 1979. I can't listen to that without tears coming to my eyes. There's something about the authenticity of this music that still resonates to this day, and I'm so thankful to have been exposed to it when it was new and be playing it on the radio in New York City, of all places. Now, when WHN signed on in 1973, 40 years ago today, I was in Pittsburgh on the radio, and I was in shock, having grown up in New York, wondering how a country radio station would do in this most cosmopolitan of cities. It didn't compute with me. Little, of course, did I know that 2 years later, I would be in the midst of it and watching it explode, and answering the telephones in the studio every night. I did the 8 p.m. to midnight shift 6 nights a week, and watching the phones light up and people request, and you got to be friends with them. You got to know their families. You talked to the kids. You watched them grow up. They came to the gigs. They were everybody. They were Bed-Stuy kids. They were Stanford attorneys. There were New Jersey housewives. It defied expectation. And I came to realize that country music is the music of real life, and it touches everybody that allows that inside their hearts. That song particularly just rips me up. Jesse Scott now, Jesse on the radio back then, and it's so good to be sharing this day with all of you and with all of the folks here at WFDU. We thank you so much for letting us do this. Again, we broke a lot of boundaries back in the day at WHN and played people that were kind of a little bit outside the realm. We played the Eagles a little while ago. We have another one of those for you right now. And I'm happy to report that after all of these years, there is a tribute album getting ready to be released for John Denver. Let's listen to him. 1050 WHN. Take Me Home, Country Roads.
Almost heaven, West Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountains, Shenandoah River. Life is old there, older than the trees, younger than the mountains, growing like a breeze. Country roads, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country roads, all my memories gather round her. Miner's lady, stranger to blue water, dark and dusty, painted on the sky, misty taste of moonshine, teardrop in my eye. Country roads, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country roads, I hear her voice in the morning hours. She calls me. The radio reminds me of my home far away. Driving down the road, I get a feeling that I should have been home yesterday. Yesterday, country roads, take me home to the place I
by chance to meet some old friends on the street. They wonder, how does a man get to be this way? I've always got a smiling face, anytime and any place. And every time they ask me why, I just smile and say, you've got to kiss an angel good morning and let her know you think about her when you're gone. Kiss an angel good morning and love her like the devil when you get back home. Well, people may try to guess the secret of a happiness, but some of them never learn it's a simple thing. The secret I'm speaking of is a woman and a man in love, and the answer is in this song that I always sing. You've got to kiss an angel good morning and let her know you think about her when you're gone. Kiss an angel good morning and love her like the devil when you get back home. Kiss an angel good morning and let her know you think about her when you're gone. Kiss an angel good morning and love her like the devil when you get back home.
Charlie Pride, Kiss an Angel, good morning here as we recreate 1050 WHN on the airwaves of WFDU 89.1. Jesse with ya. Charlie Pride, oh my, he was such a joy to meet. The first time I met him, actually, I think he had performed somewhere else in the city, and I had taken to hanging out at O'Lunny's at 48th Street and 2nd Avenue, one of the original country bars back in that era, and everybody would stop by after their shows. And there was one night where he walked in with his entourage, and we got to know one another. He got up on stage and he sang there. O'Lunny's actually moved several years ago, and I was walking down a street in New York and came upon it. And I walked in and I said, is Hugh still alive? And I met his granddaughter, and she said, actually, he is. And he comes in and he dances on the tables and the bar still. I was so shocked to hear that he was still kicking and so happy at the same time. He really was a precursor to everything else that happened that was really trendy about country. But he was just a dyed-in-the-wool country fan, and O'Lunny's lives in my heart. And not just that, in song as well. Billy Joe Shaver writes about it in one of his songs about New York City. We have another guest on the phone. I want to see if the Bellamy brothers are on the line.
Hey, Jesse.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. We're good, thank you.
I do have to. Well, I have to give you kudos because last night the Sons played. We had Jesse and Noah on stage at Hill Country, and they are so wonderful. It was the first time I had seen them perform.
Oh, good. Yeah, they tweeted me a picture last night from the gig, so that's great. Glad they did good.
And I want to segue into when you guys played the Lone Star Cafe, and we broadcast that live. Do you remember that?
Oh, yes.
Oh, many times, yeah.
We never forget the Lone Star Cafe. I wish it was still going on.
You and me both. It was such an amazing place, and such an amazing aggregation of people hanging out there, too.
Oh, there wasn't much room for setup for the band. I remember we used to put our steel player almost halfway up the stairs.
Remember that.
But it was always, the atmosphere was incredible.
It's so wonderful to be hooking back up with you guys. Yes, you made such an impact on our airwaves, and you know, in a way, I guess, you know, before WHN existed, you know, the thought of going to New York and playing there probably wasn't even on your radar.
Well, I have a funny story. We had a guitar player who was from Florida here. I shouldn't tell his name, but he wrote a song for Alabama. Actually, wrote one of their songs. A great musician, but he's a little neurotic and hadn't traveled very much. And it was the first time he ever had been to New York. First time we played the Lone Star, and we pulled into the load-in, and he was afraid. he was afraid to get out of the. We were in a van those days. He was afraid to get out of the van, literally. So we finally gave him a drink and coaxed him on stage. But he was totally intimidated.
Well, New York had that effect on a lot of people, but at least, you got...
Especially country boys.
Right. I was talking about George Jones before. He would get sick every single time he came to play. He would have a cold. He would cancel sometimes and not even get to New York. But, it was just that...
Well, he used that excuse a lot anyway.
I don't know. I don't know about that.
Yeah,
but
we've seen him with a cold a few times.
Yeah, I've had George's cold myself.
Well, it happened with more than just George, but yes, it was really amazing sort of breaking those barricades down and having the country meet the city and having it be so well embraced.
Yeah, it was an incredible time.
My best memories are up by the iguana on the roof. There's strange things went on up there.
Yeah, it's true. I have to kind of paint the picture because there were people from Saturday Night Live that were hanging there. There were New York Times writers that were hanging there. There was Doc Pomus, legendary songwriter, hanging there in his wheelchair. Whenever I'd see him show up at a show, I knew it was going to be an amazing night. And then there were just amazing people. I mean, you'd run into Kinky Friedman. You'd run into,
Yeah, I think that's where we got to know Kinky. We actually were playing
Kinky there.
We were playing in there one night, and Mick Jagger and John Belushi came in. I don't know what condition they were in, but because we actually we were on stage playing. They just came in and were like just raising little hell on a Friday night, and but it was so funny. Just anybody could wander into that place.
Well, it's true, and did. And we were all in it together. It just was a magical venue, and I too am so sad that it's not there anymore. But we can
get the iguana if you can get the building.
Now tell me where the iguana is. That came up earlier today. We were talking about where the iguana went.
I think it actually ended up in Texas.
I know it did, but I don't remember exactly what town.
I don't know, but
I bet we could track it down.
I bet Kinky would know.
Yeah, I'm sure Kinky knows. Actually, I ran into Kinky not too long ago. He's got a tequila line now, and he did a tequila tasting, and Cleve Hattersley, who was the doorman back in those days at the Lone Star, is his right-hand man. So, and I just moved up here from Austin, Texas, so I used to see Cleve and Sweet Mary all the time. Sweet Mary, the fiddle player. And so they keep it alive in my heart, And Kinky, he's thinking about running again.
Oh, really?
Well, good.
Well, I love his interviews, at least. He's
very entertaining.
He might be what we need.
Hey,
I couldn't do no worse than anybody else.
Really, seriously. I thank you so much for being with us. Do you want to set this record up? It's Let Your Love Flow.
Well, this was our very first hit, 1976. We loved the record, the song when we first heard it, but oh, sorry, I lost you there.
Yeah, you did. You're back.
We loved the song when we first heard it, but we were as surprised as everybody else, I think, at how big a hit it became. Because we were just two country boys at the time, but it went on to be a worldwide hit. We've been following it around the world ever since then.
Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank
Bellamy
you, Jesse.
Brothers.
All right, see you, Jesse.
Take care. 1050 WHN.
There's a reason for the sunshine sky, and there's a reason why I'm feeling so high. Must be the season when that love light shines all around us. So let that feeling grab you deep inside and send you reeling where your love can't hide, and then go stealing through the moonlit nights with your lover. Just let your love flow like a mountain stream, and let your love grow with the smallest of dreams, and let your love show, and you'll know what I mean. It's the season. Let your love fly like a bird on a wing, and let your love bind you to all living things, and let your love shine, and you'll know what I mean. That's the reason. There's a reason for the warm, sweet nights, and there's a reason for the candle lights. Must be the season when those love rays shine all around us. So let that wonder take you into space and lay you under its loving embrace. Just feel the thunder as it warms your face. You can't hold back. Just let your love flow like a mountain stream, and let your love grow with the smallest of dreams, and let your love show, and you'll know what I mean. It's the season. Let your love fly like a bird on a wing, and let your love bind you to all living things, and let your love shine, and you'll know what I mean. That's the reason. Just let your love flow like a mountain stream, and let your love grow with the smallest of dreams, and let your love show, and you'll know what I mean. It's the season. Oh, let your love fly like a bird on a wing, and let your love bind you to all living things, and let your love shine, and you'll know what I mean. That's the reason. Just let your love flow like a mountain stream.
Howard and David Bellamy, the Bellamy brothers, thank you guys so much for phoning in as we recreate 1050 WHN. And 40 years ago today, as we signed on as a country radio station in New York City. Jesse here, and it gives me great pleasure to introduce the voice. Gene Ladd, yes.
The aging voice.
Oh, now, you know, your newscasts were so definitive. They were so powerful, and you have such a way with words.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I have a few for you now. I wish I had some words to send to Washington to get people off their positions. President Obama is highlighting the impact of the booming spending cuts with a trip to a Virginia military community as the Republicans accuse him of using America's military as a campaign prop. Republicans in the House and the Senate have tough words for the president as the White House seeks to, again, pressure Congress to avert the cuts by agreeing to new taxes. The Senate GOP leader, Mitch McConnell, claims the president is trying to sow a sense of chaos. The only agreement is among the GOP leaders, who are increasingly saying the sky is not falling. Department of Homeland Security is said to be releasing thousands of illegal immigrants held in jails, with officials pinning the blame on the pending budget cuts. One sheriff says it threatens public security. Moment of silence observed early this afternoon in the metropolitan area. It was 20 years ago this afternoon, 12/18, that 6 people died and more than 1,000 were injured with the first jihad attack on the World Trade Center. Our flashback year, 1978. Volkswagen stopped production of the Beetle, with more than 20 million sold around the world. They were continued, though, in Mexico until just recently. Half the car sales in the U.S. were Japanese imports in 1978, and the gas mileage situation had a lot to do with that. Gas was still 63 cents a gallon and rising, but there was a worldwide shortage because of the petroleum industry. Well, you could get more than 10% on a CD at the bank. Bacon was $1.20 a pound, eggs were 48 cents a dozen, and gold had risen to $200 an ounce. Illinois Bell introduced the first cell phone. 98% of the Americans' homes had TV sets. The first test tube baby was born in England, and bell-bottoms were in fashion along with platform boots. Still have those, Jesse? 3 balloonists in the Double Eagle II became the first to cross the Atlantic in a balloon. We had 3 popes that year due to deaths. The Reverend Jim Jones of the People's Temple led more than 900 men, women, and children in a mass suicide at their compound in Guyana by drinking the poison Kool-Aid. And the first Susan B. Anthony dollars were printed by the U.S. Treasury to fill the jewelry boxes of America because nobody uses them. Johnny Cash was hosting the 12th Annual Country Music Association Awards in Nashville. For the first time, There was a simulcast broadcast on radio and TV. Crystal Gale won Female Vocalist of the Year for her recording, Don't It Make My Brown Eyes Blue. It was also named Song of the Year. Don Williams won for Male Vocalist of the Year. Ronnie Millsap, It Was Almost Like a Song, took album honors. Single of the Year, The Kendalls, Heaven Is Just a Sin Away. And the Oak Ridge Boys broke the Statler Brothers hold on honors for the groups. Entertainer of the Year, Miss Dolly Parton. It was a great year for country music as we enjoyed it here in the metropolitan area. Rain on the way could start as sleet or freezing rain tonight, west and north. Heaviest rainfall expected in the wee hours of the morning and into the morning commute, dropping to the 30s tonight. I'm Gene Ladd on WHN News, recreating that great format from 40 years ago today on WHUD-FM.
It's a heartache, nothing but a heartache. Hits you when it's too late, hits you when you're down. It's a fool's game, nothing but a fool's game. Standing in the cold rain, feeling like a clown. It's a heartache, nothing but a heartache. Love until your arms break, then he lets you down. It ain't right with love to share when you find he doesn't care for you. It ain't wise to need someone as much as I depended on you. Oh, it's a heartache, nothing but a heartache. Hits you when it ain't right with love to share when you find he doesn't care for you. It ain't wise to need someone as much as I depended on you. Oh, it's a heartache, nothing but a heartache. Love until your arms break, then he lets you down. It's a fool's game, standing in the cold rain, feeling like a clown. It's a heartache. Love until your arms break, then he lets you down. It's a
WFDU Teaneck, commemorating the 40th anniversary of America's most popular country music radio station, WHN.
1050 WHN.
1050 WHN, New York.
Well, I spent a lifetime looking for you. Single bars and good time lovers were never true. Playing a fool's game hoping to win. Telling those sweet lies and losing again. I was looking for love in all the wrong places, looking for love in too many faces, searching their eyes, looking for traces of what I'm dreaming of, hoping to find a friend and a lover. I'll bless the day I discover another heart looking for love. And I was alone then, no love in sight. And I did everything I could to get me through the night. Don't know where it started or where it might end. I turned to a stranger just like a friend. I was looking for love in all the wrong places, looking for love in too many faces, searching their eyes, looking for traces of what I'm dreaming of, hoping to find a friend and a lover. I'll bless the day I discover another heart looking for love. You came knocking at my heart's door. You're everything I've been looking for. No more looking for love in all the wrong places, looking for love in too many faces, searching their eyes, looking for traces of what I'm dreaming of. Now that I found a friend and a lover, God bless the day I discover you. Oh, you looking for love in all the wrong places, looking for love in too many faces, searching their eyes, looking for traces of what I'm dreaming of. Now that I found a friend and a lover, God bless the day I discover you. Oh, you looking for love.
Looking for love in all the wrong places. Johnny Lee from the Urban Cowboy movie and the soundtrack here as we are doing 1050 WHN on what would have been the 40th anniversary of it going country in New York City today, 1973. Jesse with you. Great to be playing this music. Great to be just thinking about where we were back then and when Urban Cowboy came out, how country mania swept New York City. It was cowboy boots on Madison Avenue. The clubs were doing it. There were mechanical bulls everywhere. It was pretty amazing watching country get embraced by the rest of society and really become a big thing. And it was wonderful to be on the cusp of that. I am so amazed at how many people that we played that crossed over to pop radio that had really fruitful careers and are still kicking to this day. There was a time when we were playing Dolly Parton and Eddie Rabbitt and the Oak Ridge Boys where all the airplay that they were getting was on country radio. But then all of a sudden they got embraced by adult contemporary radio, and they started playing Vegas and coming back to New York and playing bigger venues. And we were so happy. It was kind of like birthing a child and watching them grow and fly out of the nest a little bit, but, you know, bittersweet, but yet wonderful. We have Lynn Anderson on the line. Lynn, how are you?
I'm good. It's great to hear you talking about the good old times.
Absolutely. And you so embodied that. Your hit, Rose Garden, was such a zeitgeist moment.
I tell you what, I got to, I sold out Madison Square Garden. I was the first country artist to sell out Madison Square Garden. So that, that puts me, I've got a picture of me on a horse, way before Big and Rich, on a horse in front of the marquee at Madison Square Garden with my name on it.
It is so amazing. And, I remember those days. and really what it meant, to sell out Madison Square Garden was a huge accomplishment. I mean, it still is. But, congratulations. I did not realize you were the first country artist to do that.
That was me.
So cool. Well, when you were making music back in the day, did you have any inkling that one day you'd come to New York and have that kind of acceptance?
No, not at all. Actually, I was kind of a hybrid. I was born in North Dakota, of all things, and raised in California. So when I came to Nashville, I was kind of an outsider because I didn't really have a Southern accent, and I didn't quite fit in. I wasn't raised with fiddles and banjos and stuff like that, and my music had a little bit of a different sound to it. So it took me a little while to get accepted on the Grand Ole Opry, for example. They thought of me as that blonde from California.
Carpetbagger.
Yeah, kind of. It really took me a long time. It wasn't until I recorded Rocky Top. Do you remember Rocky Top?
I sure do. The anthem of Tennessee.
The Tennessee state theme song. So it wasn't until I did Rocky Top and it became the state song of Tennessee that they finally accepted me and, finally said, okay, she can sing with banjos. She's all right.
I want you to talk a little bit about the Grand Ole Opry, which is still going strong to this day and is such an epicenter for the family of country music.
Well, it is what they call the mother church of country music. It is where everybody in country music strives to be accepted. To perform there is literally, I suppose the equivalent of being asked to perform at Carnegie Hall or something like that. It's the epitome of acceptance in country music. Until you can say that you've walked on stage with the Grand Ole Opry and sung your song, you haven't really arrived. So it's and I've got great memories when I was a kid. We first came to Nashville. We were backstage, and it was before I was a singer or anything. And Patsy Cline was on stage, and she walked by me in the backstage area and kind of brushed me, and that was my first brush with greatness. So backstage with Patsy Cline was one of my earliest memories of Nashville.
That's incredible. You're giving me chills.
Yeah, and then I was backstage, doing something, fixing my hair or something, and somebody came and got me and said, "Here, I want you to hear this new girl." And they came and got me, and I stood backstage, in the wings, and watched Martina Mack's first appearance on the Grand Ole Opry. And they said, "What do you think?" And I said, "Well, I think she's great. I think she's really got a future." And of course, the rest is history. But it's interesting to be part of watching everyone from Patsy Cline to Martina to Miranda Lambert.
Mm-hmm. Total legacy.
Yeah. It's kind of a constant and total passing of the torch.
And, there's a new country radio station that just debuted in New York about a month or so ago. Nash frequency, I think, is 94.7. And,
right.
So country is alive and well again in New York City, and we're so happy about that.
Yeah, I literally just saw Jason Aldean on the Today Show, and he was talking about the new country radio station in New York.
What are you up to these days?
Well, I'm in the studio today, actually. I took a break to make a call to you. I'm recording a gospel CD.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Can't wait to hear that. Also can't wait to play Rose Garden. Would you set this record up for us?
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the song that changed my life. A great song written by Joe South that still says just as much now as it did in 1971. I never promised you a rose garden.
Here it is, 1050 WHN. Thank you, Lynn Anderson.
I beg your pardon. I never promised sunshine. There's gotta be a little rain sometime. I beg your pardon. I never promised you a rose garden. I could sing you a tune and promise you the moon, but if that's what it takes to hold you, I'd just as soon let you go. But there's one thing I want you to know. You better look before you leap. Still waters run deep, and there won't always be someone there to pull you out. And you know what I'm talking about. So smile for a while and let's be jolly. Love shouldn't be so melancholy. Come along and share the good times while we can. I beg your pardon. I never promised you a rose garden along with the sunshine. There's gotta be a little rain sometime.
10:15 WHN. WHN.
Maybe I didn't love you quite as often as I could have. And maybe I didn't treat you quite as good as I should have. If I made you feel second best, girl, I'm sorry I was blind. You were always on my mind. You were always on my mind. And maybe I didn't hold you all those lonely, lonely times. And I guess I never told you I'm so happy that you're mine. Little things I should have said and done, I just never took the time. But you were always on my mind. You were always on my mind. Tell me that your sweet love hasn't died. And give me one You were always on my mind. You were always on my mind. You were always on my mind. You were always on my mind.
Willie Nelson, 1050 WHN. Jesse with ya. Always on my mind. Still on my mind. Willie Nelson has continued really a stellar career. Love Texas. Love seeing him down there. Love having him reign supreme. And especially love some of the memories, like the night that he played the Saturday Night Live wrap-up party at the Lone Star Cafe. I think it started at 2 a.m. It went till dawn. It went until the sun came up. It was amazing watching, because, you know, I played him on the radio, but I didn't really know what he meant and, you know, how people would respond to him, and they still do to this day. And seeing him play for that show that night, seeing the adulation, seeing the love that came his way, really is a hallmark of his career. Very varied and stellar, like I say, career. And so glad to be able to play him on the radio, really for all these years, which kind of sets up something. Ed Solomon, program director, who hired me back in 1975. And I'll tell that story just real quick. I had been doing disco at WPIX for 2 weekends, just to come back to New York from Pittsburgh. And I get a phone call from Ed, and he says, I want you to come do country. And I had no idea what I was going to be playing on the radio come Monday when I started. And that weekend I went to the Capitol Theater in Passaic, and I saw Kiss. A friend of mine was one of the road crew there, and I was backstage, and I was looking at the audience, looking at these rockers, looking at Kiss on stage, scratching my head going, who am I going to be talking to on Monday? What does my audience look like? You know, I mean, it was incomprehensible to me. Ed came over my apartment not long thereafter for a story for the Daily News, and he started pulling out the albums that I had in my rack, vinyl, Graham Parsons and the Flying Burrito Brothers, and Blue Ridge Rangers, and Goose Creek Symphony. And we brought that stack of albums in, and we carted up. Back in those days, you put a song on a cart. They were like 8 tracks, only one song per. So we carted up a bunch of music, progressive country music. And I started playing that in the mix a couple times an hour on my evening show in 1975. And that actually led to a total passion. I had no idea really would be my life's work, but did very much become that. 25 years after that, in 1975, I finally got a job to put this format on the air without having to play the other stuff, the hits, and actually built a channel for XM radio, which was called Cross Country, and where all of those folks and everything that came after, now up to the days of the Avett Brothers and Mumford & Sons and Old Crow Medicine Show and so many Americana bands. So progressive country morphed into Americana. In about 1999, I think it was, that we formed the Americana Music Association. I'm one of the founding members, and proud to say that I still sit on the board and on the executive committee of the Americana Music Association, where we've really been able to make a difference for a lot of people who haven't necessarily had a home being played on major market radio stations around the country, but so deserve to have light of day. Willie at the spearhead of that as well. Ed laughs every time I run into him in Nashville that I've spent a career building a shrine to the guys that I'm going to play for you next. The Marshall Tucker Band, 1050 WHN, heard it on a love song.
I ain't never been with a woman long enough for my boots to get old. But we've been together so long now that both need resold. If I ever settle down, you'd be my kind, and that's a good time for me
to head on down the line. Heard it in a love song. Heard it in a love song. Heard it in a love song. Can't be wrong. Like to get away, like to start dreaming about tomorrow today. Never said that I loved you, even though it's so. There's my duffel bag of mine, it's time to go. Heard it in a love song. Heard it in a love song. Heard it in a love song. Can't be wrong. I'm gonna be leaving at the break of dawn. Wish you could come, but I don't need no woman tagging along. Always something greener on the other side of that hill. I was born a wrangler and a rounder, and I guess I always will. Heard it in a love song. Heard it in a love song. Heard it in a love song. Can't be wrong.
WHN.
You lay with me in a field of stone. If my needs were strong, would you lay with me? Should my lips grow dry, would you wet them, dear, in the midnight hour? If my lips were dry, would you go away to another land, walk 1,000 miles through the burning sand, wipe the blood away from my dying hand? If I give myself to you, will you bathe with me in the stream of light when the moon is full? Will you bathe with me? Will you still love me when I'm down and out in my time of trial? Will you stand by me? Would you go away to another land, walk 1,000 miles through the burning sand, wipe the blood away from my dying hand? If I give my Should my lips grow dry, would my lips grow dry, would you wake me with the stream of light, with the stream of light, when I'm
Tanya Tucker, Would You Lay With Me in a Field of Stone, written by David Allan Coe, here as we recreate 1050 WHN. If you've tuned in to listen to WFDU, yes, we have interrupted your normal programming, but it'll be back next week, and everything will be back to normal. This is a special anniversary. It is the 40th anniversary of WHN Going Country on February 26th, 1973. I'm Jesse. I joined the staff in 75. I worked till 81 doing the evening show, and we got to just play some amazing music in New York City, becoming a destination on the AM radio dial for an innovative program designed by Ed Solomon, who was the program director I got to work for, though there were some before him and then some that came after him. And for Pam Green, who was our music director, who did an amazing job curating the radio station. For most of us were Northerners, and she was from Nashville, or the Nashville area, and really was able to create a pipeline for us to really be on the cutting edge of what was going on at country in the city. And you know, we created a zeitgeist. I remember starting out doing small shows at the Lone Star Cafe, and that turned into shows at Carnegie Hall with the likes of Roy Clark. And then that went over so well, we started doing shows at Giant Stadium. And that was an amazing thing, seeing so many people in New York City embrace country and become country fans. And I remember one night going out to see Tanya Tucker and Glenn Campbell together, and it was out on Long Island someplace, maybe at the racetrack. I don't remember exactly. Maybe they remember. Maybe they'll tell me when the record's playing. But at the time, Glenn and Tanya were an item. Of course, everybody was quite scandalized by it. There was quite a difference in age. Back in those days, we talked about all that stuff. You know, everything was a big deal. And they were both virtuoso musicians and put on a great show that night. And so I wanted to play some Glenn Campbell for you. I got the opportunity, actually, to see him a couple of years ago at the Country Music Hall of Fame when he had an album, not the most recent, but the one before, come out. And there was a documentary retrospective of his life. Cherished moment for sure. He brought so much joy to so many people, and is on his farewell tour as he has Alzheimer's now. But I want to revisit a great moment from Glenn Campbell, Southern Nights, as we played back in those days at 1050 WHN.
Southern nights, have you ever felt a southern night? Free as a breeze, not to mention the trees, whistling tunes that you know and love so. Southern nights, just as good even when closed your eyes. I apologize to anyone who can truly say that he has found a better way. southern sky. Southern nights, they feel so good, it's a frightening. Wish I could stop this world from fighting. Down, 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 down.
Burger one, might be
1050 WHN.
Country is sitting on the back porch, listen to the whippoorwill late in the day. Country is minding your business, helping a stranger, it becomes your way. Country is living in the city, knowing your people, knowing your kind. Country is what you make it. Country is all in your mind. Country is working for a living, thinking your own thoughts, loving your town. Country is teaching your children, find out what's right and stand your ground. And country is having a good time, listen to the music, singing your part. Country is walking in the moonlight. Country is all in your heart.
Country is New York City, WHN 1050. Tom T. Hall for you there. We definitely included ourselves in that in a just a substantial way. Living the country lifestyle in New York. I remember hanging out with Tom T. Hall at the Lone Star one night, pounding straight whiskey and listening to this poet, this philosopher expound on life, and just another moment that I'll absolutely cherish. We played so much good music at WHN, so much music that really talked about life, from the sublime to the ridiculous, and everything in between. When this song came out, it just really summed it up in just a wonderful philosophical way. It's Kenny Rogers. This was probably our most played song, The Gambler, 1050 WHN.
On a warm summer's evening, on a train bound for nowhere, I met up with a gambler. We were both too tired to sleep, so we took turns of staring out the window at the darkness till boredom overtook us, and he began to speak. He said, "Son, I've made a life out of reading people's faces and knowing what the cards were by the way they held their eyes. So if you don't mind my saying, I can see you're out of aces. For a taste of your whiskey, I'll give you some advice." So I handed him my bottle, and he drank down my last swallow. Then he bummed a cigarette and asked me for a light, and the night got deathly quiet, and his face lost all expression. Said, "If you're gonna play the game, boy, you gotta learn to play it right. You got to know when to hold up, know when to fold up, know when to walk away, and know when to run. You never count your money when you're sitting at the table, there'll be time enough for counting when the dealing's done. Every gambler knows that the secret to surviving is knowing what to throw away, knowing what to keep. 'Cause every hand's a winner and every hand's a loser, and the best that you can hope for is to die in your sleep. And when he'd finished speaking, he turned back toward the window, crushed out a cigarette, faded off to sleep. And somewhere in the darkness, the gambler, he broke even. But in his final words, I found an ace that I could keep. You got to know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away, and know when to run. You never count your money when you're sitting at the table. There'll be time enough for counting when the dealing's done. You got to know when to hold 'em, when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away, and know when to run. You never count your money when you're sitting at the table. There'll be time enough for counting when the dealing's done. You got to know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away, and know when to run. You never count your money when you're sitting at the table. There'll be time enough for counting when the deal is done.
I promised I wouldn't cry. Oh, well, I didn't quite make it. Kenny Rogers, the Gambler, as we recreate 1050 WHN. Jesse here, Ed Solomon joining me. You are hardly ever heard on the radio. It's great to see you behind the mic.
It's great to be here, and so many people are just responsible for making this day. This is one of the greatest radio days that I've ever had.
Me too. You want to talk about the Gambler and talk about the...
Well, there's a story in my book, WHN, When New York City Went Country, about that song. Pam Green, WHN's music director, and me, and a couple guys from that we knew, Bob Pittman, who was then program director of WMAQ in Chicago, and Carson Schreiber, who was a promotion man for RCA. We're hanging around Nashville one night, and we decided to go into a club called the Pickin' Parlor, which was on the corner of 2nd Avenue and Broadway. And there was a guy there who sang this song, and we all heard it for the very first time. And I think all of us knew that it was a hit. And I remember writing down on a napkin with the Pickin' Parlor logo on it, The Gambler, Don Schwartz. Now, the guy's name was Don Schlitz, was the singer-songwriter who wrote the song, but I heard it as Don Schwartz. Great song for Gene Watson, because Gene Watson was having great story songs out at that time. And then the napkin got lost. The song went to Kenny Rogers, and the rest is history. And I guess all for the good. But that's a song that the first time when you hear it, it just knocks you out.
Totally. Still, to this day. And I want to kind of trace the lineage, too, because you were in Pittsburgh doing country radio, but other radio, too, before you got to New York.
Right. I started out working at KDKA Radio in Pittsburgh, which was at
Legendary.
the time the #1 station in Pittsburgh and the world's first radio station. And I did some different things for them, publicity, promotion, marketing research, and got my way over to the music director side. Then I got an opportunity from the station across town to be a program director, and it happened to be a country radio station. The name of the station was WEEP. And that got me into country music. And like you, I fell in love with it, and it's been a part of my life ever since.
Me too. And I thank you for that. And thank you for coming to my house one day and pulling out all those albums and, allowing the radio station to start playing progressive country in New York in 1975.
Well, we had to keep you building your shrine to Marshall Tucker.
It's so true. Doug Gray and I have become friends over the course of the last few years. I've never actually told him this story, but yeah, we played Marshall Tucker. We played, Eagles. We played the Amazing Rhythm Aces. There were so many people.
And you did from the first I ever heard you on WDVE in Pittsburgh, which was, again, there's so many firsts in your life. I mean, first women rock jock. And
2 minutes left, so I want to...
Well, let me thank some people real quickly. From WFDU, Carl Kraus, the station manager, Barry Duff Sheffield, the program director, Michael Stokes, the music director, Kenny O'Boyle, who was our great engineer for today, all the great artists that called in, the Bellamy Brothers, Joe Stampley, Larry Gatlin, Dwayne Allen, Richard Sturban, William Lee Golden, Joe Bonsall. Of course, those last four are all collectively known as the Oak Ridge Boys, likewise celebrating their 40th anniversary as a foursome. Lynn Anderson, Charlie Daniels, all of you guys. Jesse, you're one of our own from WHN, but you helped facilitate the reunion last night at Hill Country as well as here at WFDU. Lee Arnold, Mike Fitzgerald, Dan Taylor, Larry Kenny, and of course Gene Ladd doing news. But as I say in the intro to my book, or the dedication to my book, we have the most appreciation for those millions of people who through the years listened to country music on 1050 WHN and who really made all of this possible for all of us.
It's so true, and it was such an amazing era. And for it really to come back around again on the guitar now in New York with a new country radio station just debuting is real satisfying.
Well, it's about time.
I'd say. How many years in between? It was like, 17? Something like that? I don't know exactly, but quite substantial period of time. But, it lives in our hearts, these songs, those memories. Last night, the panel was just an amazing, scratching the surface. We have to do it again. I think there's so many wonderful stories to tell. There's so many things. Actually, listening last night on the panel at Hill Country that I didn't know. So... thank you so much for coming. Pam, thank you for curating, as always. It's so good to have you here. And thank you to WFDU 89.1 for allowing us to recreate 1050 WHN.
And now, radio station WFDU-FM signs off the air. WFDU-FM is owned and operated by Fairleigh Dickinson University, with studios located at 1000 River Road, Teaneck, New Jersey. Transmitter at the E.H. Armstrong Field Laboratory in Alpine, New Jersey. WFDU-FM operates at an assigned carrier frequency of 89.1 megahertz with a radiated power output of 550 watts, horizontal and vertical, and an antenna height of 550 feet. WFDU-FM invites you to join us at 1:15 a.m. to begin another broadcast day.